Installing a new interior door is a great way to add style and to change the look of your home. It's a job practically any do-it-yourselfer can accomplish in less than a day. To get started, here are some of the tools and supplies you will need to replace your old door with a new one. A hammer, drill with a 1/8 inch drill bit, utility knife, nail set, a 6-foot level, 2.5 inch screws, 2.5 inch finishing nails, and wood shims. To finish the door, you may need paint, stain, molding, and a doorknob. Also, because of the size and weight of the door, make sure someone is available to assist you during the installation. Now it is time to remove the old door. Start by removing the trim surrounding the door frame. Take extra care if you're planning on reusing the same trim around your new door. Next, remove the screws or nails attaching the door frame to the studs. You may need to use a hacksaw or cutting tool on the nails in order to free the door frame from the studs. Once all fasteners have been removed, carefully close the door and tip the door and frame towards the side from which you removed the trim. Out with the old, in with the new. But first, measure and check the current door opening. It should be 2 inches wider and 2.5 inches taller than your new door. For example, a 30-inch wide by 80-inch high door needs a 32-inch wide by 82.5 inch high opening. Okay, now cut the shipping bands from the new door and remove the sleeves. Take out the lock brace from the side of the door. Next, place the door in the middle of the opening so there is an equal gap on both sides of the door. Carefully insert shims between the door unit and the wall at each hinge location. Drill a pilot hole through the doorstop and the shims at the top hinge. Nail a 2.5 inch finishing nail there to hold the door in place. Now it's time to see if the door is completely straight and plumb. Place the 6-foot level along the hinge side jamb to make sure the jamb is straight. If it's not, adjust the middle and lower shims until the bubble on the level is centered. Now, place the level to the jamb to see if it's plumb. If not, nudge the jamb and shims until the bubble on the level is centered. Once the door jamb is straight and plumb, pre-drill 2 more holes through the doorstop and shims at the middle and bottom hinge locations. Use 2.5 inch finishing nails to tack the frame into place. Now, shim the strike side of the door at the top, center, and bottom. Place the shims between the door jamb and wall, lined up directly across from the shims you just inserted on the hinge side of the door. Make adjustments to the shims until the jamb is straight and plumb. Now drill pilot holes through the doorstop and shims at all 3 spots. Grab the 2.5 inch finishing nails and hammer away, checking straight and plumb along the way to make sure nothing is moved. To ensure that the door frame is straight and plumb, measure to see that the distance between the strike jamb and hinge jamb is the same at the top, middle, and bottom. Next, place shims into 2 locations on the top of the door frame, between the head jamb and the wall. Adjust the shims until there is an even margin between the head jamb and the door across the top of the door. Okay, fasten the head jamb. Pre-drill through the doorstop in the location of each of the 2 shims and nail the head into place using 2.5 inch nails. Close the door and check to make sure that you have equal spacing between the door and the frame, at the top and along both sides. If not, adjust shims until the spacing is equal. Now everything is in its right place. Time to secure the frame. Open the door and pre-drill holes into the narrower side of the side jambs at each of the 6 shim locations. Hammer in finishing nails to each spot. Then use a nail set to sink the heads of all of the finishing nails into the door frame. Next, remove the center hinge screws on the frame one by one and replace them with the longer 2.5 inch screws. This will help support the weight of the door. Now, score the shims with a utility knife and break off any part of them that is protruding. And now for the finishing touches. You can finish your door either before or after installation. But before finishing, a light final sanding is recommended over all surfaces of the door. Sand lightly with the grain using fine grit sandpaper and remove any sanding residue before applying a sealer or finish. You've successfully installed your new door. Now is the time to do whatever you want to make it look great. Stain, paint, or clear coat it. Install the trim around the door. Finally, screw in a doorknob strike plate to the frame and attach a doorknob. Nice job and congratulations on your new door!